Hello, this is Darrell Castle with today's Castle Report. This is the 17th day of December, and this the year of our Lord 2021. Are you fully vaccinated? If you answer yes, well, don't be so sure because the definition is continually changing. If your answer is no, then when will you be fully vaccinated? I can answer that question in this opening paragraph and save us all a lot of trouble. The answer is that you will never be allowed to be fully vaccinated for more than a brief time because you will always need the next booster. The next variant is out there. Christmas is next week, folks, plus I'm moving my law office to a new building. So I'm going to leave you in peace until the first Friday in January. Speaking of peace, take time to celebrate the coming of the Prince of Peace into this world. This has been quite a year, that's for sure. We tried to return to normal, but although the football stadiums were full again, the people of some cities, some states are still not free to move about as they see fit. If only everyone would get vaccinated, we would all be fine, but some people are just too hesitant, or at least that seems to be the official story. The health authorities, i.e. Dr. Fauci, direct us to have 2 injections. Then after 6 months, a booster. That would make us fully vaccinated so we can receive our permission card to travel, participate in a somewhat normal life. If you have not had all those injections, then you don't get the card, and only the federal courts can order your employers to continue your employment. If you go along, though, whether you believe the hype or not, just go along. You'll be okay, perhaps even virtuous, correct? Just comply, do whatever the authorities command. Just join the right side of history. Be obedient. Well, no, that's unfortunately not correct from the very beginning. I have predicted that COVID was just the beginning, that a series of new strains, new virus would continue till we're all sick, disabled, childless, and dead, or at the very least, totally obedient to the dictates of the new totalitarian state. First, we had the Delta variant, which seems dangerous. Now we have the Omicron, which even the doctor who discovered it describes as infectious but mild. For that, we must once again tear our world apart, lock ourselves inside, at least in some cities. Let me give you an example from the Los Angeles Times. This issue of December 15th, quote, for many Americans who scrambled to get vaccinated against COVID-19, as soon as their turn came up, the relief of gaining immunity was just one reward. Achieving fully vaccinated status conferred a faint halo of virtue as well. Now both the shot's biological protection and the satisfaction of contributing to the herd's immunity are proving short-lived. And with a worrisome new coronavirus variant threatening to erode vaccine-induced immunity further, health officials are debating whether the definition of fully vaccinated should be amended to include a booster shot, end quote. Whoa, that's quite a statement, isn't it? Immunity and virtue all in just 2 injections. Let me attempt to offer a translation of the Los Angeles Times newspeak, folks. We at the Times told everyone the vaccine would confer immunity, and that turned out to be wrong. We told everyone that Dr. Fauci was and is a well-meaning doctor who should be listened to and should be followed. Just get fully vaccinated. All will be well. But now we have to admit these people are never going to stop tormenting us as long as we are willing to permit it. Nevertheless, if Dr. Fauci says get a 4th shot, then it must be absolutely necessary to do so. Now, quoting again from the Los Angeles Times, quote, optimal protection is going to be with a 3rd shot, Fauci told CNN this week. He added that while he didn't see the official definition of fully vaccinated changing this week or next, it was bound to happen at some point. It's going to be a matter of when, not if, end quote. Yes, Dr. Fauci, but what about that 4th shot? What about that 4th vaccine for Omicron, Dr. Fauci? When will that be available? Over in Europe, they're struggling with the same issues and trusting Dr. Fauci in their own versions of him. Bill Gates, George Soros, always there in the forefront, pushing their vaccines on the public, always willing to reassure everyone that they and only they have the answers. The Catholic Church, still important in some parts of Europe, especially Italy and Germany. A German Catholic cardinal, has set off a round of controversial discussions of church power and influence because he dared to question those two men, Gerhard Ludwig Mueller, a high-ranking judge at the Vatican court. Last week he was interviewed and had the audacity to speak his mind instead of just echoing the talking points he had been taught. He said the COVID-19 pandemic has sparked chaos and turmoil, stemming not only from lacking knowledge about transmissibility and danger of the virus itself, but also from the will of the super rich to snatch an opportunity to bring people in line. Quote, the world's financial elites are now using the pandemic and the measures governments take to fight the spread of the virus to subject people to total control and establish a global surveillance state. People who sit on the throne of their wealth see an opportunity to push through their agenda, he added, naming Bill Gates, George Soros, and the head of the World Economic Forum and Great Reset founder Klaus Schwab as some of those behind the global control scheme, end quote. They want to bring forth a new man, he said, a new man created in their own image and likeness. He said that he would not wish that fate on himself. How could anyone who has even superficially studied these men, let alone listened to their videos and read their books, disagree with what the cardinal said? Nevertheless, plenty of people did disagree, including those in the German media and the German Bishops' Conference, which pointed out that the cardinal was only speaking as a private person. We have been mired in this madness for 2 years now. My conclusion is that it's orchestrated, driven, used by the very people the cardinal mentioned. I find his statement to be courageous and accurate. I believe he is accurate because I not only read Robert Kennedy's book, which describes it, I read Klaus Schwab's book, The Great Reset, which sets out the actual plan. When you read it in their own words, how can you still deny that it's happening? Meanwhile, from Robert Kennedy's research, we learned that 45% of the FDA budget comes from pharmaceutical companies. Dr. Fauci's agency owns half the Moderna patents. Bill Gates owns or controls a majority of the food and medical companies that service Africa. We're also reminded of the track and trace surveillance state, the demolition of the Bill of Rights, the destruction of the middle class by those elites who have profited greatly from this pandemic. What we've been talking about with regard to coercion by the government and its private agencies is the Bill of Rights, folks. That's what it's about, the Bill of Rights, and its guarantee of protection of our God-given rights. December 15th, just 2 days ago, we celebrated the 230th birthday of that document. It was adopted December 15th, 1791, and it sets out and memorializes those basic human rights provided to us by God and protected by government as ordered by that document. The writers of the Constitution intended the Bill of Rights to be an additional shield against federal tyranny and the mission creep that always allows power-mad people in government to overstep their bounds. As Mr. Kennedy so eloquently pointed out, the only one of the 10 rights set out in the bill that has survived the pandemic is the Second Amendment, always under attack but always defended by armed force. The second survives for now. I am certainly open to discussion and to debate about which ones might be left, perhaps the third, which forbids us from being forced to house and pay for the military directly, is still alive. But what others, I wonder? The pandemic allowed the government, which was already trending strongly in the direction of totalitarianism, to unleash the chains of the Constitution and go full unrestrained government by its will as opposed to the will of the people. Sometimes violations of the rules may seem insignificant, but over time the precedents pile up to the point that you have nothing left. In other words, today they came for him, so I don't care. But tomorrow it could be me they come for. The Bill of Rights has to remain sacrosanct across all political changes and shifts in basic views of politics. Unfortunately, the evidence is piling up that such is not the case. Human nature allows people to the advantage of weakness and go as far astray as they are permitted to go? Who will stop the tyrant when the agencies of government are totally corrupt as they seem to be now? Who will set the standard that corruption will not be tolerated in government? I could present Julian Assange as an exhibit number one, since a court in the UK just agreed to his extradition to the United States to face criminal charges for what? Apparently, he's charged with something to do with spying, but there seems to be zero evidence of that. He is not an American citizen, did not live in the United States. He was not in the employ of nor working for any foreign government. He did not steal any secrets, but instead the material was sent to him, and he published it, much as Daniel Ellsberg did with the Pentagon Papers. The charges against Ellsberg were dismissed, although, as I remember it, the material he published was stolen in a burglary. The U.S. is sending a very chilling message to any journalist who is willing to publish anything approved by our new system. Honest journalism is rooted in the First Amendment and is vital to a free country, but alas, it seems to be gone. Finally, folks, I saw a poll the other day from Monmouth University, which concluded that 30% of Americans would believe and obey the CDC and Dr. Fauci no matter what the advice. 30% would not believe them under any circumstances. The remaining 40% could be persuaded either way, but a country without a free media is blind, and so are its people. At least that's the way I see it. Till next time, folks, this is Darrell Castle. Thanks for listening.